Coronavirus. Facts, not fear, starts now.
Good evening, I'm Mike Montecalvo, live from our WPRI 12 studios in East Providence, Rhode Island. We're back again tonight, bringing you some of the latest headlines on the coronavirus from around the country. And first tonight, the latest, President Donald Trump once again holding a late afternoon news briefing on COVID-19. And we're starting to see some big numbers. The global death toll has now exceeded 50,000. Millions of people are filing for unemployment, and today, during President Trump's news conference, he confirmed that he took a second COVID-19 test.
A little while, I did take a test. It just came out. This is from the White House physician. You may have it. Just came out. I just took it this morning. And I took it. It took me literally a minute to take it. And it took me, I guess it was 14 or 15 minutes. I went to work. I didn't wait for it, but he said it took 14 minutes or something to come up with a conclusion. And it said the president tested negative for COVID-19. So that's the second one. I think I took it really out of curiosity to see how quickly it worked and fast it worked, and it's a lot easier. I've done them both. And the second one is much more pleasant, Jeff. I can tell you that. Much more pleasant.
In regards to wearing masks out in the public, the CDC is expected to advise all Americans to wear cloth masks in public. And that's the name of the game right now, PPE. Frontline healthcare workers need it. And companies across the country are stepping up their operations to give them what they need. Morgan Wright has more now from Washington.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says Americans are coming together to protect healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic.
Everyone is giving their best to help people who need help.
Gillibrand says local manufacturers and even schools are pitching in to provide desperately needed personal protective equipment, or PPE.
The head of SUNY has made 2 dormitories available for beds. She's also used the Fashion Institute to start sewing masks and gowns.
Priya Bathija says the American Hospital Association is challenging manufacturers, businesses, and individuals to produce 100 million masks for our healthcare workers.
We're seeing manufacturers in Washington State and New Jersey change over their lines so that they can start making surgical masks for hospitals. We're seeing a lot of larger manufacturers like Tommy Hilfiger, Gap, New Balance step up to the plate.
Some in Congress say the issue highlights the need for President Trump to unleash the full capacity of the Defense Production Act.
What we can do under Title I of the Defense Production Act is we can literally go and jump the line.
Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed says the act would prioritize the production of essential needs to fight this pandemic.
We have to have these. Here's the price we're going to pay, and we're going to move these to places where it's needed.
Reed says healthcare workers must stay healthy to help stop the spread of the pandemic. Reporting in Washington, I'm Morgan Wright.
The 100 Million Mask Challenge for healthcare workers was created by the American Hospital Association in conjunction with Providence, which is a hospital group out west. Now let's head down the East Coast to CBS 17's Angela Taylor in Raleigh. Angela, as the testing increases, we're seeing that no one is immune to this disease.
Yeah, Mike, you're exactly right. Today, we have learned an employee with the Durham Public School System tested positive for COVID-19. That person was actually responsible for handing out food to families during this time. However, school officials say this individual was not in prolonged contact with those families, so they believe the risk to the public is low. The site where the person was working helped prepare 400 to 500 meals a day. Now, this individual was involved with moving some of the boxes of food and may have helped hand them out. DPS says the person had no symptoms while they were at work. Employees who were in direct contact with this person were sent home and asked to check in with the health department.
We are taking our employees' health and our families' health extremely seriously, and we are evaluating what we need to do going forward to make sure that our families are protected and our employees are protected.
Now, the district does take the temperature of all employees who come to work. Now, even though multiple states have issued these stay-at-home orders, people are still taking advantage of these really cheap flights. CBS 17's Holden Kurwicki talked to a veteran flight attendant who says if you value your health, just stay home.
I think it's going to have to get stricter for people to really understand how bad this is. After 30 years in the sky as an American Airlines flight attendant, Stephanie Hall has spent the last few weeks grounded in her Cary home because she believes she had an unconfirmed case of COVID-19.
And I had excruciating pain just in the right side of my chest. And it was just, I couldn't even hardly walk to the refrigerator. It hurt so badly. So the doctor said I had pneumonia. He put me on all different kinds of medicine.
She says the best medicine in this case was self-quarantining.
I was isolated. I couldn't go anywhere. I just stayed in my house. I didn't even see my neighbors across the street. People would bring me things and they'd leave it on the front porch.
However, a nagging cough led her to get checked.
You would have thought I had the plague. It was the first case at this facility.
Thankfully, she tested negative for coronavirus, but she believes the virus had already run its course.
I hope and pray I never carried it to anybody.
17 of her co-workers weren't as lucky, including one man who died.
I really believe that anybody that brings anything on that airplane, we're very susceptible to it.
With that said, Hall believes the airlines are making their employees' health a priority, but she says one group continues to put everyone at risk.
For the people that are getting the $16 tickets right now to Cancun, yes, I think they should be banned from flying. We're all putting our lives on the line.
She's right about that. Now, that flight attendant did decide to stay home at least through April just to be safe. Now, the UNC Healthcare Systems, which is one of our local hospitals here, asking patients to take advantage of the telehealth services during this COVID-19 pandemic. UNC Health Systems says it's all about protecting their staff and patients. Virtual visits and consultations are nothing new. UNC Health and other healthcare providers have been offering these services, but now it's become more popular and more important.
Prior to this, even though approximately 75% of patients said that they would seek care through a virtual visit, only about 15% did, but now we're seeing a greater acceptance. So I think this will become the expectation for the future.
Right now, doctors with UNC Health Systems say they are not anticipating any furloughs, but they are moving staff around to fill different needs. And some sad news about a North Carolina icon, the Biltmore Estate. There it is in Asheville, furloughing more than 2,000 workers. The estate is temporarily closed because of coronavirus. This is the first time the 8,000-acre estate has closed its doors since World War II. The estate has been open to the public since the 30s, when it opened as a tourist attraction during the Great Depression as a way to boost the local economy. And finally tonight, North Carolina's favorite astronaut is helping kids get through these difficult times. NC State grad Christina Cook reading books to kids. You can catch her live on Instagram every weekday at 4. Now, Cook recently returned home from space, where she spent 328 days. Her time was record-breaking, the longest single space flight completed by a woman. And Mike, she's pretty big around here, and I'll tell you, if anybody knows what it's like to be in isolation, Christina Cook certainly does. She spent a long time up in space.
All right, Angela, thank you very much. Angela Taylor from CBS 17 in Raleigh. The state of Massachusetts is preparing for an expected surge in coronavirus cases this month. Governor Charlie Baker said today that the latest models show a surge in hospitalizations will occur between April 10th and 20th. Governor Baker said the numbers of confirmed cases is expected to range between 47,000 and 172,000. Baker said the reason the range of expected cases is so large is that there are still a lot of unknowns, including how long this will last.
You need to plan for the worst and hope at the end of the day you don't need to go quite that far.
The Massachusetts models are based on information from Wuhan, China. Governor Baker said he expects the fatality rate to be much lower here due to the fact that Massachusetts has a lower population density. He says the Bay State also enacted strict social distancing standards sooner than China. Meanwhile, Governor Baker has ordered parking lots at all state beaches closed as of noontime Friday. The beaches themselves will stay open so people can walk, jog, bike, or fish by themselves. The idea is to limit crowds. And New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft doing what he can to help out. He sent his team plane to China to pick up more than 1 million N95 masks for healthcare workers in Massachusetts and New York. Some special rules were put into place for this trip. The plane could only be on the ground in China for a maximum of 3 hours, and the crew could not get off the plane. The plane touched down late this afternoon at Boston's Logan Airport. The National Guard is now distributing those masks. And you may have seen those Super Bowl trophies painted on the tail of that plane. Let's head out now to the home of the most recent Super Bowl champions. Fox 4's Lauren Halifax. She is live now in Kansas City with more. Lauren?
Good evening. Missouri is one of the few states where the governor has not yet declared A statewide shelter-in-place order forcing all the non-essential businesses to close. So some communities in Missouri can still operate just like they did before the coronavirus pandemic. Fox 4's Linda Wager spent the day in Clinton, Missouri. It's just outside of Kansas City, a town that does not have formal restrictions in place.
Most of the square is still open for business, even though this town had one of the early cases of coronavirus. Cindy Wursig still welcomes customers into her t-shirt shop, but don't accuse her of not taking the virus seriously.
We were one of the first ones to have a case, and so I think we started washing hands and social distancing and doing it early.
That case, which claimed the life of the Henry County Democratic Party chairman, never prompted Henry County to order all non-essential businesses to shut their doors, which the owners of Cummings Menwear appreciate. This family-run business has been operating in Clinton for 35 years.
We try to be as safe as we can, and nobody wants to get the virus, and but we have to kind of try to do our best to go on too,
But business is slow. Stores here worry that a lack of customers might force a shutdown, even if the government doesn't. By some estimates, sales are down 80%.
But there's just no cars going by. Nothing. I mean, people are just staying in.
Cummings said many sales are completed curbside, but people still have needs. They sold a suit last week for a funeral. Signs of the virus have reached this town. Government buildings are closed to the public, restaurants are only serving to-go orders, and some businesses have closed their doors, like the mercantile store Sarah Goth owns. She says it's just not worth it.
It's just the unknown and how quickly it can spread, and then how quickly it seems like people can get sick and die.
It's that fear, no doubt, that's keeping many home in this mostly retirement community. But for now, life and business goes on in Clinton as close to normal as it can. Many people here are hoping they can buck the trend and stay free of the virus. In fact, Henry County hasn't had a single other person test positive for COVID-19 since that first case. Linda Wager, Fox 4 News.
A Kansas City-based MRI Global is at the forefront of the coronavirus pandemic. They have created a special biocontainment system to use against Ebola. Now it's being used again. It's called a containerized biocontainment system, a CBCS for short. It's used to transport people who have highly contagious diseases like coronavirus or Ebola. In February, thanks in part to this technology, 14 Americans who tested positive for coronavirus while on a cruise in Japan were able to come back to the U.S. to be treated. The company says they're proud the product can again help patients in need.
It's everything that we could have hoped for, and this is the kind of work that we've devoted our lives to, and we want to continue working in this area.
The State Department owns the containers. Right now, there are 4 outside the CDC near an airbase. MRI Global says it's working nonstop now to make more of those containers. In Kansas City, I'm Lauren Halifax. Back to you, Mike, in Providence.
All right, Lauren, thank you very much. The coronavirus pandemic continues to upend the presidential race. The Democratic National Committee is delaying now its convention. It was scheduled to take place in July in Milwaukee. The committee announced today that the convention has been pushed back to the week of August 17th. Republicans are scheduled to hold their national convention the following week. And here in Rhode Island, Governor Gina Raimondo had a different kind of media briefing today. She's been giving us live updates daily for a couple of weeks now, but today's briefing was for kids. Our Ted Nisi explains.
A bit of a different rhythm at the State House today as the governor skipped her usual daily briefing and instead answered questions submitted by Rhode Island school children. But out of the spotlight, the cases of corona continued to climb. Testing. It's been the Achilles heel for states like Rhode Island as they fight coronavirus. Now, for the first time, the Department of Health says any Rhode Islander with symptoms can get a test by calling a doctor or an urgent care center. This as the department confirms 2 women who lived at Golden Crest Nursing Center in North Providence are the 11th and 12th Rhode Islanders to die of COVID-19 complications, one in her 80s, the other in her 90s. Meanwhile, the number of people testing positive and the number of those hospitalized up significantly once again.
This is kind of a weird time. And everybody, every day, is going through a range of emotions.
Governor Gina Raimondo spent an hour answering some of the roughly 15,000 questions submitted to her by Rhode Island school children for a one-off Q&A session. She was joined by her husband, Andy Moffett, the governor warning the students and their parents to prepare for the long haul.
The coronavirus will not be over by the summer, but we'll be smarter about how to deal with it. And I'm really hoping you're going to be able to go to the beach.
A 12th grader in Johnston asked, there are rumors
regarding the repeating of this school year. Is that true, Governor?
Not going to happen. I will not let it happen. You're not repeating this year. But I need you to be serious about distance learning.
Some of the kids had more pressing concerns.
Is the Easter Bunny quarantined?
Thomas, I would never quarantine the Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny is an essential worker.
And that's Ted Nesi reporting. Now, a couple of cruise ships that were forced to stay out at sea have now been allowed to dock in Florida. Holland's America's Zaandam and Rotterdam ships are finally approved to dock in Fort Lauderdale. Governor Ron DeSantis dropped his opposition to the dockings. About 10 critically ill passengers will be taken to a Florida hospital. 4 passengers died at sea. Another 200 got sick. Out in Southern California, the beach scene isn't what it usually is. Take a look. Normally, surfers and sunbathers would be out here, but today, beaches were empty as people stayed away in compliance with a statewide stay-at-home order. The new norm, at least for a little while longer. Let's go live now to Samantha Cortese and Andy Reesmeyer joining us live from KTLA in Los Angeles. Hi, guys.
Good evening, Mike. Yeah, we're both at home practicing extreme social distancing here on KTLA 5 Live. The updates from California, 500 new cases of coronavirus announced today, and that brings the total to 4,000 cases in LA County. Another 13 people have died from the disease, and 78 people total in LA County have succumbed to COVID-19. All but one of those deaths involved people who had underlying health conditions. Dr. Barbara Ferrer says the county is working on getting more testing sites up and running. 9 homeless people have also tested positive here in LA. Last night, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti urged Angelenos to start wearing homemade face masks if they go out in public. They say anything as simple as a bandana or a cloth around the mouth would suffice. Governor Gavin Newsom announced a new website to help people who are out of work. According to the mayor's office, 60% of all Angelenos have reported their income stream has been hurt in some way by the spread of the illness. California's additional program for small businesses provides $10 million in relief funds for people who are paying their workers during the pandemic. Statewide, more than 11,000 people have tested positive, with 240 confirmed deaths.
And LA Mayor Eric Garcetti has doubled down on his threat to non-essential businesses that do not follow the social distancing ordinances. The mayor has directed the LA Department of Water and Power to shut off utilities to violators. The city will cut utilities to 8 non-essential businesses still operating in LA. They've also been referred to the city attorney for prosecution. Garcetti hasn't named the alleged violators, but says they will face misdemeanor charges that can result in fines or jail time. Sam?
There has been a gunfight here in Los Angeles, so to say. The sheriff has closed gun stores, reopened them, closed them, reopened, went back and forth until the federal government finally said gun stores are an essential business and should be open during this time. And it's not just Angelenos wanting to protect themselves. The FBI is reporting a 41% surge in background checks by people attempting to buy guns just in the last month. Around 3.7 million gun purchase background checks were conducted in March. That marks the most background checks in a single month since the FBI's National Criminal Background Check System was even created, and that was in 1998. Andy.
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva is requesting special wage coverage for employees who have had to be quarantined because of COVID-19 fears. The 209 department workers had to go into quarantine in the past month. The sheriff says they have had to use their personal sick leave, and in one case, a deputy had not accrued enough sick time to be compensated during the 2-week quarantine period. So far, 4 Sheriff's Department employees have tested positive for COVID-19. Sam.
And we want to leave you all with a little bit of good news here on the West Coast. A World War II veteran from Oregon has quite a lot to celebrate today. Bill Lapshees just turned 104 and recovered from COVID-19. What an amazing guy. He's been isolated inside his veterans' home since first showing symptoms on March 5th. Family members say Bill's always been resilient, having lived through the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, a couple of recessions, and his family, of course, couldn't visit Bill directly to celebrate. So they all packed into a parking lot outside his home to make sure he still had a day dedicated to him. Andy and I love that story so much over here on the West Coast. Happy birthday to Bill. And we're going to send it back to Mike.
Bill's a real rock star. Thank you for your service. Thanks, guys. Now, a quick reminder of the symptoms of coronavirus. The primary symptoms are fever, cough, and shortness of breath. CDC says call your doctor before going to a clinic or hospital to be tested. And if you feel sick, please stay at home. The goal of our Next Star family is to make sure you continue to get the latest facts on the coronavirus without the fear. We'll be back here at the same time tomorrow night with stories from across the country. For now, I'm Mike Montecalvo. Thank you for joining us. Please stay healthy and enjoy a good night.